Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Wednesday, January 18th, and the market made new highs today relative to the last, really since the rally started back on October 4th. So this is great news, and hopefully if you caught the morning post this morning, I said 1288 is going to be a key level, and sure enough it was. It was practically the lows of the day, and we continued higher from there on, not really stopping. Every consolidation period, whether it was for 30 minutes or 1 hour, was a buying opportunity, and we continued to see follow through. It was broad-based, and this market looks like it wants to go higher. So I think you stick with it. I was saying just yesterday that it looks like we could, see a rollover, and the levels that we were talking about held, which really was this 1285 level. You can see it's huge volume, and if we would have broken down from there, we would have probably gone down and tested 1278 or so. Basically, this back to this swing low, which is this huge high volume area over the last month or so. So as far as the market, stay long, stay strong. It's funny how price action can change your outlook. If I'm just going to get rid of these, the Nasdaq. We're just going to zoom in for the last month. It just looks a lot stronger, and we were saying value area high for the year for the last 52 weeks. For right now, that doesn't matter, and the Nasdaq continues to outperform. We've been on the Nasdaq trade since back in December at these lows. We were buying, if you remember, buying Intel, buying Apple, buying Oracle, F5. It's the outperformer right now, and people who have been, if you've been listening to Jim Cramer, for examples, he's been saying trim tech into strength. That's a clown. Come on, just let price action tell you what it's going to do, and then follow along. There's no need for Jim Cramer to tell you where to be and where to trim into strength when he does a TV show and can't buy stocks for a reason. And it's not because he's too good. So I think this market continues, the trend continues. People are going to continue to chase this. Looking at the Dow made new highs. So we have three positive markets all making new highs. That's great. Now let's get into gold. Gold struggling a bit against the value area high for the month of January, but it's definitely positive, and we've seen a great bounce off 1523, which if you want me to bring up, which I will bring up, it is the point of control for the year, for the last 52 weeks. Killer bounce and a killer rally. It's not a coincidence, but people, I was just listening to Fast Money, and they were saying people chasing this gold futures higher, and saying it's above the 200-day moving average. It's does the 200-day moving average really matter? I mean, do we really need it, or can we just look at volume and see where the most volume at every price level is, and act accordingly, because it matters, and it will continue to matter, which is why it was all over this gold bounce. I think there was one person who I heard get it right on TV, and that was Dennis Gartman. He really liked the price action down at the at these lows, and frankly I did too, and I was buying, and he wasn't buying. He said that he was buying copper, which works out anyways. It's actually been outperforming, but that's at the top end of the range. Since we're already looking at copper, here's the top end of the range. There's light volume here. It may be a little bit of resistance, but if we bust through this level, you better believe we're going to $4. Okay, Freeport at the 200-day moving average, that really hasn't been that relevant, but it's a point of reference for people who are looking at this market technically. So just watch it, realize that we are there, but realize the real volume's up towards 47.50, and hopefully you've been all over this, because we've been on board this stock since the 35 level. So I hope I hope you have some profits in that, and I hope you continue to ride them up. I kind of digressed, but I wanted to get to the euro before anything, and excuse me, and the euro, we're having huge volume. We've had a nice little base form, and I'm going to bring up the 30-day chart. Okay, the last 30 days, what we're getting is point of control at the bottom, and we're back up at the swing high from last Friday. There may be some selling pressure here, but if we do get through this, which it looks like there's a good case, because we do have point of control for the last 30 days. And what that means is there's so much volume down here that this price level, it's going to move. So, we're coming from higher lows, or I'm sorry, from higher prices, moving lower. We're acting very strong here. If we do get some type of pullback on the euro to 128, if people start buying that, I think you have to buy with them and look for higher prices. I would look up to 130.50, even 131 as a possibility, which is the value area high for this range, and it's also last month, December's point of control for the month. So I think that does matter, and there's not much volume to stop it. We're going to have a little bit of trouble at 129.50, but it's definitely, regardless, it's supporting a higher market. A higher euro means higher equity, so just be aware of that. So we're going to punch through some technology here. And last night I mentioned I sold puts on Amazon. I sold the 180s, I sold the 175s, and I bought the 170s to protect myself. And Amazon, I wasn't expecting it to move like this. However, I did think Amazon was bottoming just because it was at the value area low. Amazon's not Netflix. Amazon will not do that as far as the down move that we saw in Netflix. It's a different company. It dominates, and I'm saying dominates, online retail. And this is probably some short covering, but if you understand the market auction process, you're going to profit from these moves. And I took off all my puts today. There was no reason for me to have them on when there's, I already made the dollars out of the trade, and leaving pennies on the table isn't that big of a deal. Apple, new high, stay long, stay strong. Into earnings, don't care. If it sells off in earnings, buy it. I mean, it's not much more difficult than that. EMC, we've been talking about getting long this name in the 21. Actually, it was like 21.50, and we're getting paid right now. And you should see more price appreciation in EMC. F5. This chart doesn't really show what's going on with F5, although it was up 2%. We talked about F5 last week sometime, but the real price action was after hours. Announced earnings, market liked it, up 115. I think this continues higher. We're in consolidation, and we can't forget that. But look at this ceiling at 115. Earnings in a positive next 52 weeks or so in F5 will spur a retest of 150. So just realize that, and realize you can. I mean, expect downside tomorrow. People selling. If they do sell, take advantage of that and buy an eighth of a position of F5. Just get your skin in the game and expect that F5 can really keep going higher, just like the rest of the market. Dell, we've been talking about this name. I haven't covered it much because it's such a slow mover, but I like this name. It's actually one of my biggest positions in my portfolio. And the reason why is because I like it's this may sound ridiculous because I am an Apollonian in a way, but I like its story long term, and I do think that there is a market niche in for Dell. It's one of those stocks where it's not going to zero. It's hung around 14.5 and has made higher lows. We had this little triangle form. Now the technicals are working in our favor. This is going higher. I sold some calls into it today just to we still don't have a breakout yet, but we expect that. But until we do, capture some premium and kind of sit and pay to wait, or get paid to wait for Dell. All right, going to cover the credit cards. American Express, another higher low, higher high. Stay long, stay strong. Volumes increasing. That's great news. I mean, remember, our price target's back up towards 53 to 55, so this still has a little ways to run. MasterCard, we got our bounce finally. We talked about, I think I talked about this, I want to say on these 2 days, saying, you can buy with your stop right below those lows. If you did that, you would have got stopped out, and the next day, you'd probably be kicking yourself, but you're disciplining yourself in a way that you don't want to. I mean, what if this kept going lower? I mean, theoretically, it could have come down to 308, no problem. It would have still been a buying opportunity. But the fact that we're starting to break this downtrend, which I think I said was the reason to get long this name. To be honest, I don't own MasterCard. I'm sticking with American Express. But this thing's going to go back up towards 380. And Visa, probably the best out of the three, just because it continues to make 52-week highs. Made another high today on lower volume, so realize that. American Express on higher volume, Visa on lower volume, MasterCard pretty good volume, so just be aware of that. I guess while we look at credit cards, we look at other financials. Goldman Sachs announced, I mean, look at this volume. This is going higher. We are at the top of the range, but it sure looks like it's going higher. We're bouncing off the point of control for the year. If you want to take a speculative position, buy the 110 calls and sell the maybe the 120s out in I don't know, maybe go out to March or April with 90 days out or so. If you want, you can go to February, but that it has to work right now, which I don't see why it couldn't. But just realize that Goldman's working. Wells Fargo, I mean, this thing continues to go higher. JP Morgan, U.S. Bank, I mean, all these names, Morgan Stanley, these names look really good, and they look like they have more potential to the upside. Las Vegas Sands continues higher. We've been covering it. If you're looking for a different name, Wynn broke its bearish or a bullish wedge pattern, breaking out to the upside. This looks good. I would really look to get involved on any pullback, but this does look good. MGM, this is performing nice. It looks like it has a date with 13, which isn't really too far away, but it looks good. Walgreens still consolidating, still like it. It's big, pretty good day on light volume. Just be aware of that. But I still, if this thing breaks out, we're just above 37. But this thing, over the longer term could go up to 42. And that's a pretty good move for a generally slow-moving stock. Polaris keeps moving higher. Stay long, stay strong. This name looks good. Sprint, this is a bit of a speculative, but I have to say I like this. And I'm going to bring in this chart, which kind of gives you a better idea for what's going on. And I'm just going to give you... Alright, for the last 2 months, we've been consolidating a lot at these lows. And if this thing starts to push up, if Sprint starts to push up towards $2.40, buy it, and with have a limit to sell around 275, 280. Not bad for a $2.30 stock. So I do like Sprint. For speculative, you can keep your stop right under these recent lows, which is about 15 cents of risk. Not that big of a deal. Just trade accordingly and realize that it hasn't broken out yet, but there's that likelihood that it will. So, and the last name I want to cover is Alpha Natural Resource, and I don't necessarily think that this name's gonna continue higher. I actually have two names, but we are back at this potential trend line support. It's bouncing here, so I think you can keep a stop right below. I mean, it's obvious that. Let me remove all this. It's obvious that we're still in a downtrend, and this thing may break lower. Yes, it could, but just realize that if you want to define your risk, we've had two huge selling days in a row, and we could be due for a bounce. What I'm more interested in is Walter Energy. This name, we have this bullish wedge kind of working here. Whether you want to put it here, we had double bottom potential. This Walter Energy, it's such a fast mover. It can move up and be at $74 in a week's time, and that's a killer move. It's a great move. It would just be the top of the channel. So I think a lot of things in this market are working. If you want to take some speculative positions, look at Sprint, look at Walter Energy. But other than that, stick with what's working. And last name, actually, I wanted to cover this because we were saying buy Oracle back at the lows. I've had a placeholder position in this name the entire time. When so many things in the market are working, you have a tendency to overlook things, and you could get sloppy at managing your position. But if you are long Oracle, look to ring the register soon, because there will probably be some type of selling pressure just from the fact that we are back at the gap close. I would look at $29 as your first line of selling pressure, and from there we could go back up to $31, $32. So anyways, I hope this helps. I hope you're trading well. I hope you took advantage of this market this morning and realized that you could easily define your risk on a lot of names. So anyways, I will see you tomorrow, and have a good night.